I'm getting to that point now. I'm saying this right now, early on. I can see the thing. Could you do me a favor?
Okay. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Welcome to Queen City Toastmasters. Today, I'm going to be Sergeant at Arms, and also I'm going to have another role that I'm going to present later on. But as you know, and we don't have any guests today. Oh, yes, we have some guests today. For those who have been here for the first time, just some housekeeping. The bathrooms are back there. The two doors here will take us to where you want to go. You just have to look for the proper sign for men's and women's. And the reason why we use this is because we need to allow the ones who are online. We don't have, well, we have someone online today as well, Gabe. So we allow the ones who are online to hear us by using this microphone. So please make sure that you use it when you have the opportunity to speak, so that we can also allow the ones who are online to be able to listen to us. And without further ado, I would like to introduce the person who is going to be the presiding officer, is our president, Dr. Eric Laxer.
Thank you, Elvis. Good evening, everybody. We are delighted and excited that all of you could be here with us this evening, especially as we are about to enter the holiday season. I do want to mention to everybody that we will not have a meeting next week. You're still welcome to come here and sit in the room just to continue the weekly vibe that we get every week. But we will be having a meeting the following week, which is January 2nd, and David Jones will be our Toastmaster. Stay tuned for the theme. Do you have a theme yet? So the theme is trivia, which means it's going to be a fun, entertaining evening for everybody. Rumor has it that there will be some prizes handed out that evening. So we normally do introduce our guests, and that's done by our VP of Membership, but I am ecstatic to introduce our Toastmaster of the Day, who is also our VP of Membership, and we're going to wrap that role into one so we could be a little more efficient than usual here. We have an exciting theme planned for everybody. We have a great meeting, which includes an icebreaker speech tonight. So without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to tonight's Toastmaster, Colin Stifler. They love you, Colin. They love you.
I love them, Mayor, and I love you. Good evening, Queen City. All right, I tried a little reverse psychology there to see if you would. I went low, you went high. All right, well, can we do that one more time? Good evening, Queen City. Good evening. All right, maybe this is going to be my new thing moving forward. I'm not sure. Well, welcome to Queen City Toastmasters on a cold, blustery December Tuesday evening. Holidays coming up. It's a thin crowd tonight, but it's a strong crowd. I'm looking out there and I'm liking what I'm seeing. So thank you for coming out tonight. We're going to start our meeting as we normally do by giving our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves, share what brought them back out tonight, because I don't think we have any first-time guests in the crowd tonight. First time in a while, at least my estimate. So we'll start over here on the left and we'll work our way to the right. And then, provided there's time at the end of the meeting, we'll circle back for everyone's thoughts. You want to go last? All right. We're going to shuffle up the order.
Hello, my name is Caleb. I came out today to get some more communication skills.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg. I've been coming here for a couple of weeks, and I'm finally taking the plunge and becoming a member. So I'm excited about that. And yeah. And yeah, that's all I got.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rockney Bryant. I've been coming to these meetings consistently, so I will be joining real soon, just to let everybody know. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited also about tonight's meeting. So.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. Aha. Okay. I'm gonna make a quick joke real quick. Is this me like, does it feel like when you're introducing yourself, does it feel like you're at an AA meeting? I feel like I'm at an AA meeting. But I'm gonna say this. Today is my last day being 25. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you very much. Cash App, Ali Tobin, 97, ALITOBIN, 97 Cash App. I am Ali. I used to come here all the time. I joined here, met David. I joined this club, I was 22. Yeah, it's been a long time. It seems like a long time. But yes, I'm a big supporter of Toastmaster. I've seen people's lives change in this group. And if it's one thing I like to tell everybody to go into the new year with is I'm really big on this thing next year called belief. You have to believe in yourself that you can do anything. That's all I have to say. I appreciate you guys. Congrats on a well-played first quarter, Ali. Looking forward to following your success in quarters 2 through 4. See, we've got Gabe online. Recognize the gigolo mustache from far away. Gabe, welcome to the meeting.
Thanks, Colin.
Love the degrees in the back too. Adds an air of credibility.
You know what's funny is that they're not mine, so I'm glad you're impressed. I'm traveling
played,
this week, so.
Well played. Well played. Well, again, welcome to our guests. Thank you for coming out. You know this because you've been here before, but this is a safe space. So be bold. Don't be afraid to laugh at yourself because no one's going to be laughing at you. All right. A couple of weeks ago, the American Commerce Association came out with its 2023 holiday spending projections. $13 trillion. The American people will spend $13 trillion over this holiday season, $1 trillion of which will be on alcohol. Surprised? No? Andrew, you're not surprised? Is anyone surprised? Caleb surprised? We got a few hands. Well, you should be, because I just made all that up. Those are not real projections. That is not a real organization. If those numbers were real, that would be more than half of America's annual GDP. Friends and fellow Toastmasters, I said that lie to make a point, which is when you say something confidently, it comes across credibly. Now, I'm not an expert when it comes to confidence, although I am a confident liar. I'm not sure that's something I should be proud of. But we're going to explore confidence tonight because I assume many of you join Toastmasters to become more confident speakers. And I think there's some misconceptions about confidence and also some very practical steps that we can all take, things that we can learn here in Toastmasters to continue to evolve on our confidence journeys. So we're going to dive into that. Before I do, though, I want to set the stage, help describe what a typical Toastmasters meeting is like. And I tend to lean on analogies quite a bit. I've described Toastmasters meeting as a 3-course meal. I've also described it as a rock concert where there's the opener, there's the headliner, and then there's the after party. Tonight, I'm going to embark upon an even more suspect analogy, Neapolitan ice cream. Just by a quick show of hands, do we know what Neapolitan ice cream is? If you don't, we'll explain it. Jamie, could you please describe Neapolitan ice cream?
It's 2 good flavors and 1 terrible one.
And what flavors are those?
Chocolate, strawberry, and then we won't talk about the third.
Don't talk about the third. All right. All right. Well, the third, because he can't say it, I'm not afraid to say it, is vanilla. So every Toastmasters meeting comes in 3 flavors. The first flavor strawberry. I'm just going to relay what I see when I open my carton. I guess they come in different orders based on what you've just shared, the order of those flavors. But when I open my carton, on one side there's strawberry, on the left that'll be our prepared speeches. That's when people come here having prepared a speech beforehand, and we've got 2 great prepared speeches tonight, including an icebreaker. So looking forward to that. And then we have table topics, which I'm going to call the vanilla, because in table topics you have to improvise, and when you're eating vanilla ice cream you also have to improvise. You got some nuts in the cupboard, got some coconut flakes, maybe a little cinnamon, maybe some anchovies, whatever it takes. Throw that stuff on the vanilla. Tom, you like vanilla ice cream? Yeah. All right, we got some savages in here. But table topics is the vanilla, and then finally the evaluation is the chocolate. I'm personally a little bit more of a chocolate fan. I also love the evaluation. That's the real sweet spot of the meeting for me. So I'm going to give the evaluation the chocolate. So now you know where we're going a little bit. I've got some partners in crime that I need to bring up here to help shepherd this meeting along. But before we get there, I want to pass the mic to Andrea Chocolate Butterfly to get the engine revving. Andrea.
Thank you. Last week, I attended the 10X Speakers Conference, I guess you want to call it, webinar. And I learned some things. I learned that even though my message is clear and it's speaking straight to the children, that's not who pays the bills, right? So we have to make our speeches where, for those who aspire, and everybody does not aspire to do so, but I do, to make money off of these speeches. And we do that at work. We do that with our families. Credibility, we're talking about credibility. And so I'm going to do a snippet of a prepared video that I'm going to be doing to send out. And I've always told people, a lot of people say, Andrea, you always seem to be so confident. And I really need to let everybody know I do it scared. So today I'm going to read that. And I just want to hear your feedback. It could be good feedback. It could be bad feedback. You can say, no, don't say that. You can say, well, maybe you can say that. But, or you could just say, hey, I liked it. And I was going to read it, but of course, AI likes to go out. So I'm going to do it off the top of my head. Hi, you must be an event planner or an organizer if you got this email today. I am so elated to share with you the BU Butterfly children's books. In our world today, a lot of teachers don't have the time to dedicate to each child. And parents don't have the time to make sure that their child gets it. So that's what we do. We stand in the gap for your child. We become the champion to make sure that your child receives a holistic education. What does holistic education mean? It means that they're whole mentally, physically, and academically. Not just pursuing their dreams, but pursuing the dreams they had from the start. So if something I said today on this call sounds like a person you want to come inspire your teachers, your staff, and even your children, then please engage with us at Linktree at BU and Fly. So that's basically what, that was the basis of it. It's a little different, but that's the basis of it. If anybody wants to give me their feedback, I would appreciate it. You like it? Would that make you want to book me on a stage?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything you think I should add? David's biting at it looked like you're biting at the bit. I was waiting for him to say something. He usually has something good to say. Alan, nothing?
Very personal. Good call to action. Inspire. Appeal to the kids. Always say.
Okay. Sonia, what you got? I listening. The
Hey,
man of great stories.
Andrea, just quick thought was give an example of holistic. You mentioned body, mind, and I think it was education. but just give an example of how you tie the three together. Maybe a quick snippet or something that you do and how you do that. I think an example always goes a long way.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Sonia? It's a beautiful picture. We'll put it in the chat, Sonia, because I was only up here for 2 to 3 minutes, so I'm going to sit down now. But oh, did she come? No. Okay. So thank you for giving me this time to just sit on this platform, be on this stage, and give my message.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Isn't this the best unpaid advertising focus group that you can think of? Yeah, we do get snacks. That's right. That's right. Well, thank you very much, Andrea. Next, I'd like to call up the first of 2 partners in crime for tonight's meeting. It's a very important role, which is that of our grammarian. Please welcome to the stage with rousing enthusiasm, Jamie Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Yes, I will be your grammarian this evening, and that means I'm here not to judge, but simply to observe and underline effective use of grammar and language. I'll be listening for filler words and improper language, but more importantly, I'll be listening for really effective and memorable and even delightful comments and phrases that hopefully I'll be hearing from all of you. And then it is also my pleasure to provide tonight's word of the day, which I put together last minute based on tonight's theme. And the word of the day is achieve. And a sentence would be, through regular participation in Toastmasters meetings, all of you can achieve confidence as public speakers. Thank you all. I was going to mention for our audience out there, if you can recognize all of our speakers that use the word of the day by doing a little drum roll on the table, that would be fantastic. And I'll be back at the end of the meeting to provide our grammarian's report. And I will now turn it back to our Toastmaster of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jamie. I apologize for making your life difficult by concealing the theme of this evening's meeting until the 11th hour. So appreciate your flexibility there. Fantastic word of the day. Just going to set this over here. Next, I'd like to welcome up a very special Toastmaster who deserves extra recognition tonight because he's filling in at the 11th hour as well, because we did not have a timer. Elvis, please come share with us what the timer does and what makes it so special.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and good evening again, fellow Toastmasters and guests. For the speakers tonight to achieve their goal, it is important to stay on time. As a timer, I am going to be measuring the time it takes for all of the speakers to finish their role. For table topics, we're going to have 1 to 2 minutes. So the first sign will be the green card at 1 minute. At the middle mark, which is 1.5 minutes, I would have the yellow sign, and then the red will come at the end of the 2 minutes. For the prepared speeches, and today we have an icebreaker, is going to be from 4 to 6 minutes. So the green will start at 4, at 5, the yellow, and the red sign at 6 minutes. And for the evaluations, we always have 2 to 3 minutes. So again, at 2 minutes, the green sign, the yellow, at 3 minutes, at 2.5 minutes, and then the red at 3 minutes. For all the speeches, there is always a grace period of 30 seconds, which means even if you go 30 seconds over, you still qualify. So that's it for the timer. I will come at the end to provide the report. Now back to Mr. Toastmaster.
Excellent overview, Elvis. The grammarian and the timer, 2 very important roles in these meetings. I also want to add that for newer members, these are 2 roles that can be great stepping stones to building your confidence as a speaker in this club. They're also great roles for seasoned Toastmasters like Elvis and Jamie as well. What I really like about them is that I think they're really relatable to what your speaking demands may be in everyday life. You're not likely to be giving a prepared speech very often in everyday life, at least for most of us, that's the case. But I think you're more likely to have a defined task that you need to explain to somebody clearly and in a manner that everyone can understand and follow. And then also you can make a little bit of a meal out of it at the beginning too and turn it into a very micro prepared speech and begin to build on your way to giving a full speech. So just a little nugget to keep in mind. Just by a quick show of hands, who here is knowledgeable about something? It can be anything. Is there a particular subject that you're knowledgeable about? Andrea, what is the subject that you're knowledgeable about?
Control risk.
Controlled risk?
Control risk.
Control risk. What is that?
Control risk management is where you make sure that you're fortifying your controls, procedures in your company that will show what you're doing, how you're doing it, and that you're protecting the resources that you have.
All right. We've got a control risk expert over here. Ali, what's something that you are particularly knowledgeable about?
Belief.
About belief. We got a belief expert over here. Caleb, is there anything you're particularly knowledgeable about, sir?
Yeah. Boxing.
We've got a boxing expert over here. All right. All right. Alan.
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters. A Toastmasters expert. Greg.
Simpsons trivia.
Simpsons trivia. All right. That sounds like a future meeting theme when you're a member and you're a Toastmaster of a meeting. Looking forward to that one coming up. Sonia or Gabe, is there anything that you're particularly knowledgeable about? Nothing. Learning and development from Sonia. Learning and development expert. Gabe, how about you?
Yeah, thanks, Colin. Probably negotiations. I do that quite a bit for work, so strategic
Negotiation.
negotiations.
Okay. Are any of you passionate about any of the things that you're knowledgeable about? I see some heads nodding. Yeah, I heard Andrea say that she's not knowledgeable about it, though given the brief overview that you just gave, I would venture a guess that you actually are pretty knowledgeable about it. Yeah. How often do you use that knowledge in your everyday life? Is that knowledge something that, just by a quick show of hands, related to the work that you do or related to some sort of social adventure or community that you are a participant in? I see some heads nodding. All right. Graham, what are you knowledgeable about?
Piano.
And do you do that for work or do you just play piano for fun?
For fun, but I've played with other musicians before and have taught. So
Okay. So you have taught.
3-year-olds.
3-year-olds. Hey, I mean, that's work though. That's arguably more work than many of us do on a daily basis. Friends and fellow Toastmasters, when you think about what you care about, what consumes a lot of your energy and a lot of your thoughts, I'd like to press you to lean on that for great speech material, especially for folks who are earlier in their Toastmasters journey. Give a speech about something that you care about or that you know about. You're more likely to deliver a confident speech about a subject that you're knowledgeable of or passionate about. It's probably not a revolutionary thought to many of you, but I think when I first came here, I watched people give a variety of speeches on a variety of topics, and I thought, holy crap, I have to be able to give good speeches about everything under the sun. But that's really not the case. Really, what you should be practicing is speeches about subjects that you're most likely to be giving speeches about. And that's either stuff that you know or stuff that you care about. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't also invest time along the way to give a speech about a topic that you might be less comfortable with, because I think that's a good skill to build too. Life throws that demand at us from time to time. But I just want to leave that nugget with you. You know, you've got a lot that you're passionate about. You've got these things that you're naturally confident about and interested in. Leverage that. Build your confidence that way. Speaking of confidence, in speech. We have 2 prepared speeches that are locked and loaded. So get out your ice cream bowls and spoons. The strawberry's coming. Sebastian Irani, 5 months in at Toastmasters, delivering his icebreaker tonight. I've been looking forward to it. Seb, get up here, man. Give the people what they want.
Thank you, Toastmaster Colin. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sebastian, and as Colin just mentioned, I am in fact up here to give my icebreaker tonight. I think it has been around 5 months that I've been a member, so this is probably a little bit overdue. And if I'm being honest, there was a part of me that said, you know what, it's the end of the year, it's the holidays, let's take it easy and get back into a groove in 2024, start attending some more meetings and get the icebreaker in January. There was another part of me that said, suck it up. It's been 5 months. Let's knock it out. So it's the part of myself I've decided to listen to tonight. I'm going to keep things pretty vanilla, just talk a little bit about who I am, where I'm from, what's led me to Charlotte, and what led me to Toastmasters. So I grew up in Redwood City, California. It's a medium-sized city, about 30 minutes south of San Francisco. It's a beautiful place, and I loved growing up there. In our downtown area, we've got a sign going over one of our main streets. It says, "Welcome to Redwood City." And beneath that, it says, "Weather best by government test." I don't know who in the government did what tests or how valid or accurate those tests were, but I can personally say, based on 18 years of living there, that it is beautiful. Pretty much year round, you're right in that 60 to 80 degree range, which if you ask me is pretty perfect. Growing up in Redwood City, most of the time it was just me and my mom. Dad was never in the picture, so I was largely raised by a single parent. And as I've gotten older, I've developed really a profound sense of respect and admiration for my mom for all the hard work that she did to provide for myself and my sister as best she could. You know, looking back, I can very tangibly see the results of all of my mom's hard work just based on where we lived. Some of my earliest memories from my childhood are actually in my grandparents' house before my mom could afford a place for us to live on our own. Eventually, she saved up that money and moved us into a small apartment in an okay part of town. And from there into a good sized duplex in a good part of town. And eventually, when I was in high school, about 8 years later, she actually was able to build her own house in the nicest part of town in the hills of Redwood City. And that's where she lives to this day. And my mom and I, we didn't always have the best relationship when I was growing up. But as I've grown older, we've grown closer. And as I said, I've really developed a strong sense of respect for all that she did for us. I lived in that house in the hills for about 2 years while I finished up high school. And then I moved about 4.5 hours south to go to college at UC Santa Barbara. I studied biopsychology, which, as the name implies, is a mix of biology and psychology with more of a focus on the brain science side of things. And I chose that major because I knew I wanted to do something in the healthcare field. I didn't quite know what. For a little while, I thought maybe med school, but pretty quickly realized, as many do, that 8 additional years of school might be a little bit too much. So I landed on public health. So when I graduated, I got a job at a local nonprofit working on a public health initiative focused on increasing access to healthcare services for low-income members of the community. It was a really fulfilling job. I learned a lot in that job, but it was also really difficult for a number of different reasons. Probably about after 6 months, I had realized this was not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But I stuck it out for about 2.5 years. And once I hit that point, I said, let's try something else. And I ended up actually getting a job at a healthcare technology startup. Worked there for about 3 months. And I was really enjoying it. But unfortunately, right at that 3-month mark, there was quite the shakeup in the company, and they let go about 1/5 of their employees, including myself. So here I was back on the job hunt much sooner than I originally thought I might be. And it was at this time that I started to think, maybe I need more than just a job change. Maybe I need to get out of Santa Barbara. When I started to think about that, I said, maybe I need to get out of California altogether. So it was then that I pretty much started to apply to jobs in any city that I thought it might be fun to live in. New York, Austin, Denver, you name it. Funnily enough, I actually ended up getting a job based out of San Francisco, but that company at the time had a satellite office in Charlotte. So when I accepted the role, they said, you have the choice. Stay here in California, work at a headquarters in San Francisco, or move to Charlotte. And I said, hands down, let's go to North Carolina. So I packed up all of my belongings into the tiny little 2-door coupe that I still have parked outside, left just enough room for a good friend of mine to sit in the front seat and join me on what we turned into a 7-day road trip across country. Here I am 5 years later, and I couldn't be happier with my decision to move out here. I think no matter where I ended up, my experience would have been largely defined by the people that I met. And I count myself as extremely lucky for having met some amazing people in Charlotte. I've met some of my best friends out here, including my girlfriend, who I'm very grateful and thankful for. I've also met what I think is one of the most supportive groups of people I've ever come to know right here in Queen City Toastmasters. I've had some bad experiences with public speaking in the past, and that's led to some anxiety and fear that comes with doing this right here and standing up in front of a group of people and sharing your thoughts about something. So my goal with coming to Toastmasters is to overcome that anxiety and fear, and hopefully one day, rather than feel my heart skip a beat in the air, get sucked out of my chest at the prospect of having a public speak, maybe I actually get excited. Maybe one day I actually look forward to the opportunity to do some public speaking. But for now, I'm just trying to take things meeting by meeting, week at a time. And I'm proud of myself for getting up here, knocking out this icebreaker. But really, I want to say it's so much thank you to all of you for creating this environment and for letting folks like me get up here and conquer their fears. So thank you.
Is this kid a natural or what? He's got the sauce. He's got the sauce. Just on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident did you feel delivering that speech?
I mean, I practiced it a lot, so it flowed pretty naturally, but it's not the during the speech. Usually for me, it's the pre-speech. It's all the anxiety and the build up, but delivering it felt pretty good.
I mean, you looked good. You looked like a 10. You looked like you were super comfortable up here, man. Yeah. So stick with it. Thanks, man. All right. Let's fire from the second barrel here. We got Bill Fountain delivering a speech entitled Critical Thinking. Let's give it up for Bill.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've got to set up a couple of things here. I'm able to hold this and work on the. Hope that's to do it. All right.
Just a little rickety.
Yeah, put the lever, a little hang on there. All right, now we got the props set up here, I think. Well, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I'm Bill Fountain. We face a sea of decisions every day. I mean, it just stretches out. Some of them are like little waves of little importance, and some of them are big waves that have some big impact on us. And a lot of times we're essentially think about some of the decisions like, what politician am I going to vote for? Or should I take this new diet? So those are things that you have to think about. We're bombarded with a lot of decisions every day. And a lot of times we know that we can't make a perfect decision all the time. So what do we end up? Sometimes we just do what we feel like, what we just feel like. We don't even think. Well, I want to talk to you today a little bit about critical thinking. And what that is, essentially, is a way to break down or to deconstruct a situation to find out what are the issues and what's going on. And some of those things we'll discover some biases, and some of them we've discovered there's some manipulations. Like if I want to go and take a diet, it says, well, I don't know about that, because it may have somebody may manipulate me to buy something, some supplement or something. Or if I've got a politician over here, it may be a bias. Well, I say, well, I'm just only going to go for the party. I don't even think about anything else. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about geometry. I used to be a geometry teacher, and my kids would say, oh, no, we can't stand proofs. Oh, I can't stand proofs. Well, proofs, geometric proofs are a way to critical thinking. Doctors use them to do diagnosis. Lawyers use it to be able to win court cases. All right, so we're going to start with with congruent triangles. Oh no, Mr. Fallon, my students used to tell me we can't stand those things. Well, we're going to do it because it's just like as a child, your mom told you to eat your spinach, right? Because it's good for you, even though it's something you may not like. Well, geometric proofs and congruent triangles is something that are good for you. All right, so we're going to start off with, a triangle here. Best that I can draw here, A, B, C. That's a triangle. And what we're going to be, the first thing is we're given is that this triangle, that A, I'm up here given, that line AB is going to be congruent to CB. CB. All right. So that's what we're given. But we have to prove that this angle A and angle B, so we got to prove angle A is going to be congruent to angle C. Oh my goodness, how are we going to do that? Well, we got some steps here. First one right here is, what are we looking for? Well, we know what we're looking for. We got to prove that angle A is congruent to angle C. The next step is that we got to gather some information. What do we know about triangles? Well, if we look at these, if we can prove we got two triangles that are congruent, then we know the corresponding parts are congruent. All right, that means we can figure out that A and C are congruent. So how are we going to make a couple of triangles? Well, the first thing is we can construct a line that goes right down here and put that D. And I'm going to construct that line so it bisects these right here. So I'm going to put right here real quick here, a statement / reason. Okay, I've already got my given information up here. For the interest of time, I usually write this stuff down, all right? So I put the given down there, and then I put down here that I constructed BD construction. And what do I know about down here when I'm gathering information about bisecting, like I mentioned down here about bisecting? What happens when you bisect something? You cut it into half, right? So that means that this line is congruent to that line because they're equal parts, all right? So I've got that down here. So I've got AD is going to be congruent to CD. And that was by the definition of bisect. So I've gathered some information, applied it, and there's some implication. I look over here, it says, how do I make triangles congruent? Well, we can use side, angle, side. Well, we can't do that because that won't work because we don't know anything about that angle. And we can't use angle, side, angle. That won't work. But we can use side, side, side. Well, okay, we got this side is going to go to that side is going to go to that side. What about this right here? Well, BD is the same line, which is what they call reflective property. So it's congruent to itself. So I got, where am I at right here? I got BD is going to be congruent to BD, and that's because of reflective. So I've got my three ways to be able to solve this. Yes, sir. That means that we have side, we got angle, side, side, side. We can make these two triangles congruent, right? So I got ABD is going to be congruent to angle CBD. All right, that's by side, side, side. And then all I've got to do left is do what? I can declare this angle, C and D, A and C are congruent because they're corresponding parts of congruent triangles. So that's the way we use from a critical thinking standpoint of view. We went through all of these steps. Step number 5. Oh my goodness. What happened to number 5? It says explore other points of view. And as students, I didn't allow my students to go out there to talk to Jimmy how to solve that problem. I want Johnny, who they were talking about, he's the one who's supposed to solve that problem. But you, who you go out there and buy a car, or you go out there and vote for someone, or you're going to go out and take a diet, that is a very important idea, is to get somebody else's viewpoint. So you've got these 5 steps here of critical thinking. Figure out what the problem is, what you're looking for. Next is to gather the information, apply that information. What are the implications? And we have to know those things. A lot of things we didn't know it. And maybe one day I'll talk to you a little about economics, which I used to also teach. But apply the implications and then explore other points of view. I hope this has been helpful to you to remember. So next time you're out there starting to make a decision, don't go based on what it feels like. Think about it, use your reasoning, and think about using some of these steps. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Professor, for that insightful speech. I do think that you took my level of knowledge for granted there. I'm sure I'm still somewhere between a first and second grade math brain, but please keep giving the speeches. I might get to third grade one day. Let's give it up one more time for our two great speeches tonight. Awesome, awesome. Always love some good prepared speeches. So we're done with the strawberry. We're moving on to the vanilla. And I'm so pleased that Tom is a vanilla fan because he's about to come up here in a minute and run us through our table topics. But before we get there, I just wanted to touch on another point with regard to building confidence, and that is preparation. Preparation. David Jones, when you give a speech, how many times would you say you practice that speech? 20 times.
20 times.
Elvis, how many times do you practice your speeches?
A few times.
A few times. Well, I mean, you just got a natural gift. President, do you practice your speeches a lot?
I do.
If you had to take a guess, how many times would you say you practice each speech?
20.5.
20.5. That's right. That's right. Jamie Richardson, you seem like a man who deals heavily in preparation. How often do you practice your speeches, or how many times?
Yeah, I probably practice around 20 times. But what I also do is I practice starting at different points, like starting in the middle of the speech, starting in the end of the speech, just so I know it, right? That I'm not relying on triggers to be able to get from one to the next.
Yeah. It's very wise, very wise. Gonna follow your lead on that one. That's great. I went around and asked some of our more seasoned Toastmasters here how many times they practice, because I know that they practice. That's why when they come up here, you really don't see them using notes very much, if at all. And that's not to slight anybody who's using notes. It's fine if you use notes. But I think it's a testament to how much they have prepared. And as I'm sure you all can imagine, it's a lot easier to give a speech. You're a lot less anxious when you're stepping up here, having practiced, internalized, you know your stuff, than when you're rolling up here without a game plan, right? Well, maybe there's some people who are more comfortable without a game plan. Would love to meet you. Love to have you do an impromptu speech if you are one of those folks. But preparation, my friends, it was the most significant hurdle for me to overcome before I gave my first speech at Toastmasters. It wasn't just the fear of speaking in front of people, but it was also the fear of significant preparation. But what I've come to learn is that my confidence level increases in proportion to the amount that I practice. So consider setting aside the time to really, really practice very well. Tom is going to lead us through our table topics. So that means you won't have a chance to prepare for what he's about to throw at you. You're just going to have to dig deep into the reserves of confidence that hopefully you're building up by coming here, and apply that with a little bit of BS and perhaps to whatever question he throws out. So Tom?
All right, everybody has to stand like right here. I moved the podium. Don't forget what the word of the day is. It's achieve. Everybody, I'm going to move out of the way so that you can stand here. No. If you do tabletops, you have to stand right here. Sorry, I'm not trying to do an activity. Table topics, impromptu speaking, a lot of fun. I didn't know what the theme was because Colin kept it a secret. So I chose my own theme, which is 2023 year in review. So that's what the questions are going to be about. Who wants to go first? Caleb. Tell us about your biggest accomplishment of 2023 and why it meant so much.
So my biggest accomplishment in year 2023 is I got my CDL license. It meant a lot because it's a pretty dangerous job. You're driving like a missile pretty much if it runs into something. It also means a lot because I had some saving goals for myself to accomplish some other goals that I have, and I wanted to make some money pretty fast. And I knew getting a CDL license would get me there. So that's why it meant a lot to me. Also, when it came to the actual book part, studying and passing the test, I got the highest grade in my class. So that meant a lot. But the driving part, I wouldn't say I came in first, but I'll say like third. Because there's this maneuver. It's called a 90-degree back. So like say you got to park in this spot and you got to like drive. Like that maneuver is pretty tough. My first couple of times I hit a few cones, but as I kept practicing, I got better. I had a pretty good instructor. So when it was lunchtime, I just would stay out there and not go to lunch and just keep driving. And I ended up getting pretty good at it. So that's why it was one of my happy accomplishments.
I haven't said it yet. Who wants to go next? I'm gonna go Ali. Then I'll get you next. Yeah. Okay. If you could send a message to yourself at the beginning of 2023, what would you say?
Oh man, that's a great question. I'm like, if I could tell my 18-year-old self something. All right. I'm getting to I told you guys my birthday is tomorrow, and I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about not caring what people think about you. And they were saying like, when you're in your 20s, you care what people think about you. When you get in your 30s, you stop caring what people think about you. But then when you get into your 40s, you realize no one even cared. So I would tell myself, because I'm getting close to the point where it's like, I don't care what nobody thinks about me. And it's not in like a bad way, but it's more in saying like, not saying I won't take advice from like friends or family, but a lot of us can take the opinions of others and get those belief systems inside of you to not want to do what you're supposed to do for yourself. And that goes back to that confidence thing. Who talked about confidence today? That goes back to that confidence thing. So actually, I've got these things in my notes. I have like 5 things in my notes that I said. I was like, man, this is a good reflection year for me. I talked about having the belief and having the faith, put the work towards the action, stop caring about what people think about you, dream big. I mean, pass the sky to the moon to a different galaxy. And then go through the test, man. Every time you go through a difficult situation, it's a test. You know, people, you go to church and be like, can I give a testimony? I got to testify. Well, the first 4 letters of testimony is TST, test. So anytime you're going through something, you're putting through a test where you can then give a testimony. And that's my answer for you.
All right. Yeah. Don't even want to call on you. Come on. Okay. What is the best piece of advice that you received this year and why?
Yeah. What is the best piece of advice I have received this year and why? That's actually really hard to narrow down to just one thing. So I'll say this. This last year, particularly the last few months, I was going through a really difficult transition in life, just trying to figure out what my next step was going to be and trying to find my place in the world. And one person that I turned to was my uncle, who was a really smart, like spiritual, just cool guy. And we would have these conversations all the time, just about life, career, relationships, and just bouncing ideas off of each other and stuff. And he had all these like really great quips and one-liners, and I would write them down. And I'm blanking on so many of them right now. So in a way, my uncle, he gave me a lot of really good advice, which I've internalized. And part of that advice was actually coming to Toastmasters. But the one piece of advice that really sticks out to me actually wasn't from my uncle. I heard it on this podcast. And when you're faced with making a decision or critical thinking, the mantra that you can repeat to yourself is easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life. And that's something that I've tried to internalize over this last year. So, yeah.
All right, Rockney, let's go. All right, I'm gonna give you an easy one. Tell us about your favorite memory from this past year.
Favorite memory.
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite memory from this past year is when I got my job promotion. I've been working real hard in construction at Harmon Construction Services for approximately a little over 2 years. And I was mainly coming in, doing material runs. For some of those who don't know what that is, mainly you just go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Lumberyard or wherever, warehouse to pick up any type of materials that are needed on a construction project. So I was pretty much on call. I would report to the job site. If I had to go to Lowe's or Home Depot or go pick up carpet or go pick up laminate flooring from LL Flooring or wherever, I had to go get it and bring it back on site in a timely manner. Because 9 times out of 10, the contractors were probably showing up around. They would be there when I was there, but they would need the material no later than like 9 and 9:30. So it was a little bit of pressure, but I had to get used to it. Sometimes you were going to Lowe's or Home Depot and you couldn't even find what you needed. You might have to go to another store and then contact your supervisor like, hey, it's not in this store. I got to go somewhere else. To keep in contact, keep transparency and the lines of communication open. So I did that basically for 2 years. And after a while, my supervisor, he pulled me to the side and he said, Rockney, you've been doing a real good job. We're just tired of you being in the field. We want to get you into more project management and more supervisory role. And we want you to, get out of that and transition over to a leadership position. So, and I was pretty excited. So everything's going well. It's been probably 2 months. So I started at Charlotte Woods. That is on South Boulevard area of Charlotte. And we're doing a renovation there. So everything's going pretty good. So that's it.
We have time for one more. One more. Yeah. Okay. Who would like to go next? Alan. What were your resolutions at the beginning of 2023 and how did they go?
Thank you very much. When I was 26, I weighed my absolute heaviest I'd ever weighed. I was over 240 pounds. And over about a 10-year period, I had lost about 70 pounds. And then over about a 2.5 year period, I gained about half of that back. And so I made it a point the day after Christmas last year that I would re-lose all that weight and get down to my goal weight by the time I turn 40. And as you can see, it's working out really well. So the first couple of months of this year, I was doing really well. I lost about 15, 16 pounds and only had about 20 more to go to hit my goal. And I know it's not a really good excuse, but let's just say I love food. I'm a very social person, and it's really hard to be on a strict diet when you're constantly surrounded by people and food. And I usually go to the gym 4 times a week, but that apparently just eradicates any progress I would have made once it's time to eat. Now, my goal around this time last year was to lose about 38 pounds. And as of today, I only have about 40 more to go. So you do the math. I've actually gained a few pounds since last Christmas. So August of next year, Toastmasters is having its 100th year anniversary, and they're going to be celebrating in Anaheim, California. And my goal by the end of July is to get down this goal weight, not just for that, but also to go out to San Diego and meet all of my coworkers out there. So I want them to be able to see the best version of me possible, and for me to be finally able to hit my goal that it's taken me almost 14 years to hit. So I can't promise I won't grab another moon pie before I leave tonight. But when you all see me in the coming meetings, I'll very reluctantly ask you all to hold me accountable. Thank you.
All right, it was really great to hear about everybody's 2023. I'm going to end table topics now and turn it back over to Colin.
Very well done to all of our table topics speakers. That was awesome. You made real sundaes out of that vanilla that Tom was dishing. Tom, thank you very much for also rolling with the improvisation train, coming up with your own questions, your own theme. Very well done. Love me some table topics. Before we get into the chocolate, our general evaluation of tonight's meeting, I did just want to lay on you another little point of consideration when it comes to building confidence. And that is incorporating feedback that you get either in Toastmasters or outside of Toastmasters. When you come here, you deliver a speech, or if your conduct during the meeting is touched upon during the general evaluation, take that feedback, internalize it, incorporate it, and demonstrate improvement next time you stand up to speak. And when you do that, when you feel it, when it's acknowledged, take the win. Take the win. Confidence is built incrementally over time. And if you associate confidence with improvement rather than whatever your ideal performance target or standard is, you're going to actually build it as opposed to continually falling short of whatever that aspirational standard that most of us inevitably set for ourselves are. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the man in the fancy coat to provide some of that feedback that you can use next time to build your wall of confidence. Graham.
Thanks, Colin. I'm the general evaluator tonight, so welcome Toastmasters and guests and those virtually. And the Toastmaster or the general evaluator's job is to introduce the speech evaluators, call up the timer for the timers report, the grammarian, and give an overall evaluation for the meeting. And with that, I will introduce the first speech evaluator, the amazing Miss Andrea Chocolate Butterfly Williams.
It's a pleasure to be able to evaluate you, Sebastian. I use the butterfly method, and I start with the caterpillar. And I start the caterpillar because we all have that, make that first step and crawl. And then I move over to your morphing stage where you develop the skills that you need to give the speech that you're trying to give. And then I move on to you becoming the butterfly. And I end it with something to help you fly further. And so when I was thinking about your speech, I had a time to reflect, and at your caterpillar stage, the beginning was very great. You were very vulnerable, you were relaxed, and you were able to bring us in without doing the rhetorical question, audience, do you know where California is? Or if you ever heard of Redwood, you didn't have to do all that. You just brought us in very gradually. And that was great. So can everybody give him another round of applause? Right, because it's hard to get up here your first time, and we've all been there. So when I say that you brought us in, you were vulnerable to say, I almost didn't do this. We've all been in that first speech state. So that was your way of asking us a question without even asking us a question, which was brilliant, by the way, which seasoned Toastmasters don't know. So that was brilliant. Next thing was the morphing stage, the ease of pace of your speech. The organization and that you were so well prepared allowed us to move through the story with you. Awesome. Keep that up. Keep doing that. Don't take that away. Do your preparation. Keep your speech organized and you'll go far. The butterfly stage, your move from California to Charlotte. And that was it was such a thought. And I can relate because I moved back to Charlotte from New York and I had to make that decision. Stay or flight, go, you have to make that decision. And at that moment, your mind is saying, well, I'm comfortable where I'm at. Why will I go somewhere else? And you found out that going somewhere else, you met all of us, no, but you met some good people here in North Carolina, likewise with me. So your be you and fly is to be you. You're just Sebastian. You're not trying to be Andrea. You're not trying to be David. You're not trying to be Elvis. You're just being you. Keep that. Keep doing that. Keep showing up as you. And thank you for sharing you. Now, to fly, I have a suggestion. You could add some humor. Ironically, you're from a town called Redwood. When people think of California, how many people think of Hollywood? Is it just me? Okay, so I would have said, hey, I'm from Redwood. No, I'm not from Hollywood, but I am from California. It just brings people in, it gives them a look, just lightens up the room, and then you don't get people looking at you like this and you're scared. So that's just a cute, that's why I bring in humor, so I can put smiles on people's face, because when people smile at you, you can smile back. So that's just my tip for you to do, but excellent speech, and I'm so happy that you did it here.
Thanks, Andrea. Great evaluation as always. I liked how you phrased kind of the point you can improve on. You kind of worded it as how you can fly. Puts a positive spin on it. And to introduce our next evaluator, Gabe on Zoom. Take it away.
All righty. Thank you. Can y'all hear me okay? Colin, can I get a thumbs up? There we go. Wonderful. All right. Bill, thank you for your speech and appreciate this opportunity. I guess I had a quick question. I'm not sure if I'll be able to hear you or not, but I wanted to hear what your background was or what you do for a living. Are you a teacher or?
Yes, I used to be a high school teacher. I used to teach geometry several years back.
Love it.
And enjoyed it.
I love it. I was definitely picking that up and could feel that. So I thought overall, I thought your intro was excellent. I think you captured our attention right from the very beginning. Really strong attention getter. I think in terms of presence for the room, I think you moved around nicely to make good use of the room. So I think those are those things that you really excelled at. Good presentation. And overall, I think your takeaways were excellent. I think don't make decisions based on feelings alone, and then explore other points of view or other angles of view. I think those are really good takeaways just overall for all of us that we can apply our daily life. In terms of things that to consider or work on, I think there would be probably two or three of them. One would be you used a lot of jargon specific to geometry, which I haven't heard of in a long time, and maybe I'm the only one, but I feel like I got lost in some of that specific jargon, whether that was bisect or angle. So I think that was, yeah, I think there was some depth there and complexity that I was having a challenge following at points. And then the other would be, so yeah, and then, sorry, I lost my place here. And then the other would be in terms of the visual aid. I thought it was great to have that. But unfortunately, obviously, I'm evaluating you from online here, and so that's not your fault. But I wasn't able to see it, and so maybe I would have been able to follow it better had I been able to see that. So maybe next time have a slide that you can show online. That would be helpful for the people online to follow as well. So overall, great job. I appreciate the takeaways. I'll definitely consider that in the future. Explore the points of view and don't make emotional decisions alone. So great job. Appreciate it, Bill.
Thanks, Gabe. That was a great speech evaluation. And next, I will call up the timer. Elvis.
Thank you. I have to say that all of the speakers tonight stayed within their allotted time. Now I have to ask for some apologies from the first speaker, Sebastian. I was so into your speech that I for some moment forgot that I was the timer. But I'm sure that your speech was within the 5 to 7 minutes, taking it from the time it started. But being honest, I forgot to start it at some point. It was a great speech. Bill, 7 minutes, 3 seconds. You also qualified. For table topics, Caleb, 1 minute 24. Ali, 1:34. Greg, 1 minute 33 seconds. Rocky, 1:50. And Alan, you were at, I don't see him, 2 minutes and 13 seconds. And then for the evaluators, Andrea, you also made it on time at 3 minutes and 3 seconds and gave 2 minutes 11 seconds. So you all qualified. Great job, everyone. And back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thanks, Elvis, for that report. And now I will give my evaluation of the meeting. As for the timing, I was a little late, so I give y'all the benefit of the doubt that you started on time, per usual. As for the audio and video, set up great. I think next time, if there's a prop or something that's going to be shown, then we coordinate that beforehand so that we can make sure that people virtually can see it. And I was trying to practice Colin's stepping out thing, but I left my notes behind me. As for the theme of the day, I really enjoyed the meta theme of confidence. And I liked how I used the analogy of Neapolitan ice cream. Maybe next time, put like a sundae bar out so we can, be able to learn that theme a little better, just have a little more of a tactile experience. And I liked how you kind of broke down confidence into kind of tactical ways that we can develop it, such as finding, as far as determining speech topics, finding something you're knowledgeable and or passionate about, and emphasizing practicing and getting the more seasoned members to give their perspective on it. As for the inspiration, Andrea, enjoyed your inspirational message, and Ken, you found your purpose on helping to inspire kids, and I agree we need more holistic education in our educational system. And as far as table topics, Tom, great job. It's good being able to improvise on the fly with your own theme. Good questions. And one suggestion I might have is practicing saying 1 or 2 things about each person's response or something you find relatable in between. But overall, great job. And as far as the evaluations, Andrea, great evaluation per usual. Seemed like an ideal speech evaluator for somebody's icebreaker speech. Always make it real personable. And Gabe, great job on the your speech on giving some good suggestions and good insight. into the speech. And overall, again, with the table topics, good job, Caleb, for getting up here. I've noticed every time you've been here, you've gotten up here, so getting those reps in. And same with you, Greg and Rockney. I noticed when y'all are here, y'all always try to get up there. So props on facing that. And let me see here. My first time doing this, so making sure I'm doing this right. So I think now is the point I give the grammarian. Thanks for that. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, and great meeting, everybody. I found you all thoroughly charming as the grammarian, so congratulations. I'm going to start with the filler words, and for the most part, I thought it was a really clean meeting. A lot of folks were clean as usual. Elvis, Eric, Colin, Andrea, Bill, all really super clean. Sebastian, really clean for an icebreaker. You should go back and make sure you watch the video. A few ums, usually when you were transitioning from one point to the next, right? And just trying to make sure you had all your thoughts in a row. Just pause there next time and you'll be able to knock those out in no time. Caleb, a few ums on the table topics. Ali as well, a few ums. Otherwise, Greg, Rockney, Alan were all really clean. Graham, a few ums on the overall evaluation, and Gabe as well. Word of the day. I thought this was an easy one, guys. Like achieve, like you can weave that into pretty much any comment you make at the table topics. I think I heard one. Elvis, congratulations. You win Toastmasters this evening. He should get a gift card. Did you say it? All right. I might admit, that's why we need help with the like banging on the tables, because I'll forget otherwise. All right, that's preloaded. Or did you write it on the fly? Either way, do better next time. That's all I'm saying. And then a few particularly effective phrases. Colin, confidence increases in proportion to practice. That one resonated with me. I'll keep that one. Bill, congruent triangles are good for you, like spinach. I love that. I have 2 kids that are taking geometry right now, and I took notes, copious notes, so that I can help them out later. Ali had 2 great ones. He's not here anymore, but put the work towards the action and go through the test. I thought those were both very poignant. And Greg, hard choices, easy life. I thought that was really lovely as well. That's your grammarian's report. I will now turn it back to our evaluator. Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Jamie. And now that concludes the general evaluator's report. I'll turn it back to you, Toastmaster of the day, Colin.
Excellent, excellent general evaluation. Graham, first time in the Jevaluator seat, crushed it. Also, love me some really, really good speech evaluations. So thank you, Gabe. Thank you, Andrea, for that. Jamie, Elvis, steadfast in your service. Overall, wonderful evaluation. As is tradition, we like to acknowledge our icebreaker speeches with a ribbon worthy of hanging on any freezer door in which Neapolitan ice cream resides. Take that to the bank, Sebastian. My friends, the last thing I want to leave you tonight is a piece of wisdom that a Toastmaster who no longer attends this club very often shared with me earlier this year. When it comes to confidence, a big chunk can be improved upon by simply flipping a switch in your brain between giving and taking. For a long time, I came to Toastmasters and many other areas of my life seeking validation, seeking approval from other people. And what I found was, as I really reflected on that piece of advice, was that any anxiety that I would have prior to giving a speech, all of my thoughts were self-centered. I'd be thinking about ways to craft the speech in a manner that would make it more entertaining so that you could lavish me with praise. Saying things that might strike you in a manner that you tell me about later in a positive way. And what I realized was I was focused on the wrong things. It was utterly selfish. Anytime you stand up with a microphone in your hand in front of a group of people to deliver a message, you have something to give them. Doesn't matter what that is, but there's something that you think that they need to hear. If you're able to internalize that, and I hope you'll give it a shot, what I suspect you'll find is that you'll view the speech as more of a service to others. And I think in doing so, some of the anxieties that might decrease your confidence could be lessened. So that's my challenge to you all. Whenever you rise in this meeting or elsewhere in your life to speak in front of a group of people, really focus on what you're giving them, not what you're taking from them. And with that, I will turn it over to our presiding officer, President Laxer.
Mr. Colin Stifler showing us how it's done. That was a beautiful balance between class, knowledge, poignancy. Let's give it up one more time for our Toastmaster of the day. I thought I heard a few early New Year's resolutions from 3 people sitting at this table. And I'm going to give you your last opportunities, if you hold yourselves to your word, to just say anything you'd like to share with us about being a guest. Because if I heard you correctly, you will all be, did you say that, Caleb? You're also, okay, all right. So Rockne, we have just a couple of minutes to maybe take 30 seconds or 15 seconds.
Once again, it's a pleasure to be back, and I look forward to 2024. I feel that it's going to be a great year, not only for me, for everybody. So I have a lot of goals and aspirations. So let's do it.
Thanks, Rockne. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I'm just super excited to be here. I always get nervous before going up for table topics, but you always feel so good afterward. And I'm looking forward to building on that feeling more and more. So thank you.
I'm just pretty much thankful for whoever thought up with this idea of Toastmasters. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, guys. And I want to give a shout out to Andrea, because people always think that we get locked into the same way of doing things, but you did something incredibly creative with your evaluation today. And you did it in a way to just show us how deeply committed you are to your brand. And I thought it was interesting that you used your brand as your inspirational message. And then also when you did your evaluation for Sebastian, you used your brand to turn it into something incredibly creative. So out with the sandwich method and in with the butterfly method for evaluations for 2024. Just a reminder for everybody, we don't have a meeting next week. Please sign up for roles for January 2nd so that we can have another outstanding meeting. And unless there are any other announcements from the floor, for those of you who have not taken the survey, yes. All right, no problems. Thank you, Colin. Yes. Do you want an answer today or you want to wait? Have you ever heard of somebody named Ralph Smedley? Dr. Ralph Smedley? Well, do you want me to go into, is that it? Just. He moved from Chicago to California over 100, maybe about 100 years ago or so. And he was working at the YMCA. And part of his job became to help teach young people, it was actually young men at the time, how to become leaders, confident speakers, how to run meetings, how to make themselves marketable. And basically, he had this vision which he started. And the idea very quickly spread, not just around California, but across the country, up into Canada. And now Toastmasters is all over the world. So I know those of us who are part of this group feel very strongly about this organization, as you guys do as well, for considering joining. And we're very fortunate for the work that he did about 100 years ago. Does anybody else have any questions? I kind of feel like Google right now, so. Okay, thank you, David. With that, we will call tonight's meeting to a close. Everybody have a safe holiday. We'll see you in 2 weeks.